Okay, so I was asked a question about ASTS for earnings. So before I even go into the fundamentals of the earnings and details, I like to start with the monthly chart and map levels. So I'm going to look at the all-time high first, which is right here around at 129 on the monthly. And then I'm also going to look at where we may have caught some support compared to where the price is now. So it looks like a key support level is right here around 52.40 to the downside on the monthly. So I would see that as first a monthly key level. And then I'll look at where, say, if we have a liquidity level like we do now on this current candle, I'll mark that as well. All right. Now we're actually within the wick of the candle right before it. So that can also act as a level of support too. So a lot of times I like to also mark that one too. Now, instead of me using full lines, I like to use the horizontal ray so I can go on a complete point. And I like to also make sure that my strong magnet is on. Okay. So once I get my monthly, I slide to my weekly, and I'm doing the same exact thing, except I'm not looking for all-time highs. I'm looking for key levels of rejection or consolidation. So here's one, for example, going back to October on ASTS. And I'm looking at that as a key level to the top. All right. And then, of course, my monthly key support is there at 50.82, but I also see another key level within that going back to November 3rd as a weekly key level around that 67.49, which also is in tandem almost with that current wick. So once I get the weekly, I slide down to the daily. And on the daily chart, I'm looking for gaps, and I'm also looking for those same key levels of consolidation. I don't want to put too many lines on here, so I only try to keep like two. So here's a key level of consolidation on the daily. I do those in baby blue. All right. And then here's another one that could potentially act as a reject where the current price is at 69.64 intraday. Even looking left here, here's one. Going back to October 22nd, 25, another key level. Now I want to get my gaps. For gaps, I do the full horizontal line. I keep them purple and I have it dashed. And it looks like we may have actually filled one or two gaps that I'm seeing, but I just like to make sure I document them anyways when I'm mapping out my levels. All right, so once I get here, now I'm coming to my 30-minute time frame. Make sure you come to settings and turn on your session breaks. Now I tell you to do this because I use something, again, no offense, it's called the Jewish strategy. All right. So I come to the current day or the prior day, depending on what time I'm mapping this out, and I will draw the anchor volume profile. Now, these are all drawings, not indicators. All right. So the anchor volume profile is showing me the buying and selling, momentum that's anchored from the overall stock. In the settings here, you have to make sure you go on and turn on the value area high and the value area low. And what I've done is I've made adjustments to make all of these lines dashed and thick. The orange one is one of the most important ones because it's called the point of control. The point of control, if it's above it, you have every right to be bullish. If it's below it, you have every right to be bearish. Now, one key thing about the anchor volume profile is that when I use it, I want to make sure that the lines are dashed so they don't interfere with the levels that I've mapped out for my monthly, weekly, and daily time frames. Okay. Now, as we can see, we're above the point of control here. And we've also broken out of the value area high of ASTS. So now at this point, I do want to explore the idea of how I could trade it. So then I come to my 15-minute time frame. At this time frame, I started looking into drawing my Fibonacci's. All right. So in this case, I'm going to do a trend-based fib extension, and I'm going to start with the low point from yesterday. Mind you, our session break is here. All right. So the low point from yesterday, and we've already kind of broken out. So I'm going to look at the next highest point before the breakout, which is right here around 68.30. And then I'm going to come to the low point intraday at 66.17. We're already above my 0.618 Fibonacci. We've broken out of the fib, and now it's in the extension level to push it to 71.60. All right. Now that I'm here, I turn on my indicators using the red E-risk engine, which you can see over here in the left-hand corner. It's telling me that the trend is conflicted, but we got blue candles. Remember this phrase, if it's blue, it's true. So it's still bullish. However, we've already broken out of fibs, and it could potentially reject here at that $70.18. Just looking left again. So I would set an alert here if I wanted to have a more conservative or aggressive entry point to get to that next level on the fibs. I'm also looking at the prior day pre-market low and pre-market high, which I have indicators to do that work for me. But if you're able to mark those yourself, fantastic. Okay. Now, this is all in the technicals by itself. So one key technical indicator I encourage everybody to have is the Ultimate Relative Strength Index by Lux Algo. All right. I like to kind of look and see what the 4-hour and the 1-hour show me on technicals, and they both have buy signals for ASTS. Now, this is cool and all, but with the fact that we have earnings coming up on May the 11th, we got to go a little bit deeper. So now I'm going to slide over to Earnings Whispers, just verify the earnings date, ASTS, and time. All right, so Monday, May 11th at 4:30. So this tells me that that buy signal may be valid, and I could day trade it or swing trade it and catch the implied volatility. But I still need more information about how well or how poorly this company has done in the past on its prior earnings. So for that, I like to come over to Yahoo Finance. Once I come to Yahoo Finance, I go to ASTS Space Mobile. A couple of key things I like to look at, which I teach in the mentorship, are under statistics. First things first, do we have a forward price to equity ratio? Documented right now, we do not. All right. Now, next thing I want to know is the float. How is it? Okay. Now, if it's below 500, it's not necessarily seen as a solid, stable company just yet. However, if the float is over 500 million, then I'm cool with being in it for a substantial amount of time, or I may just be an early investor to where I can position for a longer term, either with a leap or shares. Okay. But if it's below that 500, but greater than 100 million, then at that point, I know that whenever it moves, it's going to move parabolically and it's going to come out of nowhere. But I need something to give me extra confluence. So now I want to look and see how much of this company is held by institutions. The magic number is always over 40%. All right, so anywhere over 40 is okay. If it's more than that, like 100, then I'm really confident in this company. But 40 is okay. So I still see this more of a squeeze when it does move. But now here's the biggest one that I look at outside of that, and that's the short percent of shares outstanding. If this number is greater than 10, then you better be careful. Swinging is going to be extremely risky. But if it's less than 10, I'll be okay with maybe day trading it, or even potentially swing trading it depending on how much time I have, or even buying shares. So right now, this alone is a big red flag for me staying at ASTS too long. Okay. Now I'm going to go back over to TradingView, and I'm going to click on the right-hand side and come down to earnings. All right. And I go to the overview tab because I just kind of want to have a second form of an opinion versus what I saw on Yahoo Finance with some of the statistics. All right. So again, float is around 298 million. So we're roughly in the same vein. And then I want to know how much debt they have. So they have 2.24 billion in debt with a $27.4 billion market cap, which is pretty decent. All right. So finances look okay, but not the best. Coming down to their revenue and their EPS breakdown, they beat the last quarter in March on both, but it appears as though in the past, especially for EPS, that they've had a few struggles along the way. So my first question is, will they be able to remain the profitability that they had the prior quarter, or will they go back to what they did in prior years? So I can switch this here. Actually, I had it on annual. So you want to switch it to quarterly. So EPS, they've never beat EPS, it appears, per quarter. And then they did beat revenue last quarter. So again, I'm wondering if their EPS is going to be better than what it was the last time. So in this one, it would be more than likely that I would catch it after earnings, or if I wanted to straddle, maybe grab a call and a put to be positioned for both sides, I would come out on top versus just choosing one side because we don't even have a true PE ratio telling me that investors are willing to pay X amount of dollars per share for the valuation of this company. So all in all, this is all what goes into looking at a stock, mapping a few levels, as well as prepare for earnings. In this case, for me, it is a big no-no to play this thing and hold it through. So I hope this helps somebody, and you can make it do what it do.